Hi there, everybody, and greetings from Finland. Spring is just around the corner, so it's actually time to start making more bonsai pots. The pot I'm making today is a little bit special because the thing I'm going to do is make a big piece of clay filled with air and shape it as long as I have the air inside. So first of all, I start by making the shape just using my hands and barely any tools. I try to make the walls the same thickness as the lid that I'm going to make in just a few seconds. I will enclose some air, and if you make it airtight, you can actually shape your clay without losing that much shape. So that's what I'm going to do. The clay I use today is a stoneware clay, and I will burn it twice. First in a bisque fire, and after that in 1250 degrees Celsius. So it can withstand even the cold Finnish winters. Now the lid is done, and I fill my bonsai pot with a little bit of dry newspapers, just so it keeps the shape a little bit more, and also takes away a little bit of the wetness from the clay. So I score the rim and I slip, and then I put the lid on. And now I want to make it airtight. So I cut away the extra material, and then I actually use another tool to make it really airtight. You don't need a lot of fancy tools when you work with clay. Many things can be found in the kitchen or somewhere else in the house and are perfect tools when you work. You of course need clay, and if you want to burn it, you need a real kiln. I have now cut the edges, and I secure it so that the air will actually stay inside. And then I can shape it the way I want it. I have a chipwood board, but I could use anything else also to flatten out the surface. Just a little bit of water on the edges, and then I will leave this for a while. It's time to make the feet. So I roll out a coil and cut 4 different pieces that are going to be the feet for my bonsai pot. I try to cut them the same size, of course. Some slip and scoring, and after that I attach them to the bottom. As you can notice, the air inside is keeping the shape of this bonsai pot. Some small adjustments to the feet, and after that I leave this to rest. One day has now passed, and the clay has dried up a little bit. It's not completely dry, it's not even bone dry, but dry enough to keep the shape even better. So I now start cutting away a little bit. I take out the paper, and then it's time to think about the rim. I use a needle tool, and then I lock my position with one finger on the edge so that I know that the cutting is in the right place all the way. When I have removed all the paper, I can use my hands, both inside of the pot and outside, to adjust the rim so it's flat all the way. The cutting tool that I'm using right now is something that I made myself by using a windshield wiper. You can look that up in one of my videos if you want. Now is the perfect time to adjust the thickness and if there are curves or dents in the rim. And once again, I cut with the needle tool and decide where I want the rim to be. I don't want to have a straight cut. I want the rim to lean inside a little bit. So I try to keep the same angle when I cut with my tool. It's now time to do the last finishing touches before the first fire. I use my tool to remove some clay. I try to get all the dents and imperfections away and make the pot look really beautiful. As you can see, the clay I use is kind of rough, so when I want to smoothen everything out, I just use some water on my fingers. We're almost done. The only thing I now need are a few holes in the bottom of my pot. So I cut away a bigger hole in the middle and just a few small holes on the sides. And these are perfect to tie your bonsai into the pot with. I'm almost done, and this pot is now going to dry for a while, and after that I will bisque fire it. And this is what it looks like after the first fire. I will now glaze it, but before that I cover the holes with pieces of clay. This way I can dip the pot into the glaze, and the air inside will stop the glaze from going in to the pot. The glaze I'm using today is a white matte glaze, and I will also use copper oxide to paint on top of the glaze. When I dip my pot, I try not to get any glaze on the feet, because I don't want it to get stuck to the kiln. When the glaze has dried, I mix 1 teaspoon of oxides with a little bit of water, and then I start painting on top of my glaze. Copper oxide on top of white glaze will become green, so I want to paint a forest in snow. But what the result will be, that's hard to say, because oxides might sometimes react differently with the glaze you have. So now I paint some trees on all the sides, and when I'm done with that, it's time for the last burn in the kiln. A few more strokes with the brush and I'm done. And it's time for the last fire. And this is what it looks like. I'm not really happy with how the oxide reacted to the glaze, but it's still a beautiful piece. And I think that it will be really great with a tree in it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you might get some inspiration to make yourself a bonsai pot like this. If you like my videos, remember to subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.